Hey, everybody. I'm going to give everybody another minute to start joining, and then we'll kick it off. All right. Looks like we got quite a few folks joining, so we'll go ahead and start the webinar. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We're really excited to show a preview of our product roadmap, focused on Q1, but a little taster of our 2021 roadmap as well. Here is our agenda for the day. The first thing is we'll take a look back at what's shipped this quarter. We'll do product investments, and if we have time, we'll do Q&A, but I really encourage you to post questions as we're going along in the chat. There's a very high likelihood that other folks have the same questions you, and there's many people from the product team on the chat as well that can answer your questions while I'm presenting. So let's get started. First of all, I always love beginning these with a little recap of what we shipped last quarter. Quite a bit went out. It's always impressive to sort of look back and think about like, oh yeah, we released this in October. Can't believe that. So here we go. The first thing is we've released a brand new home for admins. Before, there was no place where you could go and find out how to do everything, access all of the settings. And so building a homepage in there is one of our big initiatives to give admins up front a home where they can find content, easily access the key actions that they need to take, and provide that central hub. So we're really excited about that. Next, we released our scheduling functionality. So if you were previously using a third-party service like Calendly or You Can Book Me, you can now get and create scheduling links straight from the composer. You just click on that little scheduling icon and insert meeting times, have a link where people can click and book meetings with you. It's super seamless. It comes part of front, and we're really proud of that. And one way we're extending the calendar functionality right there. Next, we released our rules library. So you may have seen this, but before you really needed to know how to do these when, if, then clauses to take care of some of the basic functionality up front, like assigning with load balancing or assign based on keyword. Now we have a rules library that builds templates for you, so you don't have to guess or think about this. It just allows you to browse what's possible and click and enable these workflows very seamlessly straight from the settings. You can access that in the rules section by clicking on the rules library on the left. The next one is, we know many of you had hundreds or even thousands of message templates. Previously, these were called canned responses. We've renamed them message templates. And we've now added the functionality so that you can actually file these and organize these into folders. I visited one customer last year before COVID happened and we couldn't travel anymore. And they showed me a spreadsheet where they'd organized all of these different message templates. So I'm really happy you can now do that in product. And I think it's a super cool feature. Please check it out and build some folders into your message templates. Back to settings, we also released a global search for settings. So sometimes it's a little difficult to think about like, oh, I was looking for that one setting. Was it in inboxes or is it under preferences? Now you can just search across all different rules, tags, account preferences, teammates, and easily navigate to exactly what you're looking for in our settings. As we add more and more features, it can be more difficult to find the exact one you're looking for. And this is one of the tools we released to actually make it easy to navigate across front. And finally, we announced email analytics reports. So you can actually schedule an analytics report that goes out and comes straight to your inbox. So you don't need to log in to access each analytics report, but you can actually schedule them to get them straight in your email. So that's a quick recap of what we did last few quarters. But now let's get straight into the main event, which is our Q1 and 2021 preview. So here's how we're thinking about our investments in product in 2021. The first is we really want to make sure that you can optimize your customer communication. We need to make sure that, if you're getting hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, or even millions of pieces of communication every week, that you can actually take that, organize it, triage it, and make sure it's all responded to. And so we're going to be investing in things like rules and analytics that make it super easy to actually observe and optimize the customer communication. Second is scaling that customer communication. So these two work together. They're very similar, but we want to make sure that you have the ability to scale those workflows in front. The third we've talked a lot about, but we want to make sure that the customer is super front and center in everything you do. And so we're going to be investing a ton in contacts, and I'll talk a little bit about what that looks like. And finally, we believe that one of the best things about Front is it's super easy to use. It's not crazy like a ticketing system or something that you need to, take a huge training class on. Anybody can jump in there, but we know we have work to do there. And we're super excited about some of the things that we have going on in our ease of use track. So I'm going to go through each one of these four, talk a little bit about what our strategy is and what we're going to invest in 2021 and Q1. So first, optimize customer communication. This is something we talked a little bit about in our Q4 roadmap. We're really excited to be rolling this out at the beginning of March. It is our brand new analytics project. So Gabe, our product manager, talked a lot about this on our Q4 roadmap. So I'm going to take a quicker spin through this because I know we have another dedicated webinar and some other things going on for the new analytics experience coming up. But just to give you a sense of what we're trying to do, we really wanted to, A, clean up the navigation, B, make it easier to find the exact things you're looking for, and C, increase the amount of trust you have in the analytics that you're actually seeing. So you can see it's a brand new, cleaned up interface. We added a brand new navigation. So you can actually create on the fly segments. You don't have to create a full view. That should help organization. You can save things easier. We've added new filters, and we've really tried to streamline the entire navigation of the analytics section. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the details drawer. So now in analytics, you'll be actually able to click into any metric and actually see what are the underlying conversations that are making up that metric. So if you're like, well, I don't understand why Amy Lamas has a 12-hour resolution time compared to the last week, what happened? You can actually click in and see, oh, Amy was handling tougher conversations. Maybe that's a routing challenge, or maybe she slowed down and there's some coaching that we need to give Amy. So we really want to give you the power to actually uncover what's under the actual metrics you're seeing in the analytics dashboard. Normally, you would have had to go into an export and actually check that out and download all the messages. It was kind of messy. You had to go in CSVs. Now you'll actually be able to navigate straight to that from the UI. We are super, super excited about this. Next, I'm going to go through all the reports, but just so you see, we are going to have a conversation summary report. We're really excited about this. This is going to replace the inbox report that we have now. But some new things you can see, we're going to have a new conversation flow visualization where you can really see what happened to things in a specific inbox or all inboxes. How did they get triaged and where did they end up? So you can see conversations new this period end up as closed or still open. So we're really excited about this because I think this will give especially managers a better visibility into what is actually happening here with our communication. Next, we're going to go to service level agreements. Nothing hugely new here, but we've reorganized it, cleaned it up, and made it as easy as possible to see your service level agreements. Tags report. This is a really cool one. You can see stats on each of your tags, so helping think through classification of your conversations, what's happening with each segment, all those things you can see in the tag report. Team performance report. This is, again, nothing hugely new here, but just showcasing that heat map where you can see what the busiest times are, how each of our particular teammates are performing, and anything else that you might want to understand about your team's performance. And I'm proud to announce that we'll be adding CSAT and several new metrics associated with this. So right now you need to access CSAT based on a third-party application like Nice Reply or something like that, but you'll actually be able to build that straight into the analytics and your workflow. So you'll be able to include it in each teammate's summary signature, as well as get that view in analytics. And we're really excited about this because I think it opens a new frontier to understanding what was the outcome of the customer interaction. Are they happy? Are they sad? And should give you another viewpoint into helping optimize your customer communication. All right, let's move on. Things that aren't, all of that is going to be shipping in Q1, but I did want to highlight one thing that we're going to be focused on later this year, and that is multi-channel analytics. So some things that are still missing from our team performance report is right now you may be mixing phone and written communication in front, like chat and text and email, and we want to make sure that you can see the holistic picture of what your team is working on. So we're going to actually be working to integrate phone analytics from major providers into Front so that you can actually see time spent on phone alongside all of your other metrics. And I think this just speaks to our general philosophy that Front should be able to tell you how your team is performing as it relates to them communicating with customers. So I can't wait for this. More details on this. This is the second half of 2021 initiative for us, but wanted to give you a sneak preview of where we're thinking and where we're driving this project, and I can't wait for this. Now, let's switch over to scaling customer communication. Obviously, the being able to evaluate what's happening in your instance is so important. We just talked about that in analytics, but we also want to give all of our customers tools to actually improve that scaling of the customer communication. How do we actually improve our SLAs, increase our shorten our response time, and get back to the customer with a better response? Let's take a look. In 2020, we really focused on making our basic workflows easy. So before 2020, some of you may not have been customers, but SLAs required multiple rules and we didn't have analytics. There was no way to see teammate performance in our analytics, and routing was a little bit opaque. And as I walked through, we now have an easy one-click SLA rule, a team performance report, and clear routing and guidelines. But we're not going to stop there. We believe in 2021, we need to start working on how does Front scale complex workflows. So we cannot wait to show you what we have in stock here. So a couple of things that we're going to roll out in Q1. The first I want to talk about is required tagging. So classification is one of the key features that we're going to be focusing on in 2021. It's really important that you be able to understand what is this inbound communication, what type of communication is, which customer is it for, but without defined schemas and ways to enforce your teammates to actually tag with the right tag, it becomes very difficult. And we know that tagging can become messy very quickly. So we're rolling out required tagging, which will actually enforce a consistent schema. So conversation must be tagged with a given tag, and make sure that a teammate must tag before they archive and actually close that conversation. So we're super excited about this. It's going to be an incredible leap forward in being able to actually do tagging and classification at scale. We're going to also roll out a time sense trigger rule in Q1. Now, this may seem esoteric, but it's super important. Right now, I can tell you what our SLA is from the time a customer writes in to the time they're responding. But we know in a lot of particular businesses, a lot happens between those two events. And as a manager, I may want to be able to say, hey, I actually want to measure the time from when it was passed to the second team to when it was passed back, because that's actually the part that's being the slowest. So we're actually going to allow you to set arbitrary internal SLAs against any trigger that's happening in front. And this is going to allow all managers to actually set and measure and improve internal processes that impact your actual customer SLA. And I'm super excited about that. I know it's a mouthful, but it's a really important concept, and I couldn't be more excited about it. I think it gives all of our customers more power in actually driving their SLA times down. Now let's look out a little bit more in the future. We are actually in the process of building an entirely new class of rules for workflows at scale. We know there's workflows where you can achieve them in front, but at scale, they cause you to have hundreds or even thousands of rules to maintain. Good examples of these are things like moving customer emails from my private inbox to a shared folder, or tag based on an order ID, assign based on skill. And so we are building an entire class of rules that will allow these types of rules to be done in a single or very few number of rules, and will scale to any number of teammates. And I'm super excited about this. It's going to unlock an entirely new type of workflow in front, and we'll share more on that soon. But this is what I mean when I say we're focusing on complex workflows at scale. We want to take these core things that make front great and make them easy to set up, maintain as you grow your team. Speaking of teams, we're also going to be looking at teams. We know teams right now in front are super useful for organization, but we want to make sure that they're also good for continuing to set up your teammates, making sure they have the right permissions, access to inboxes, the right rules triggering, and that it's also flexible. Right now, it's all or nothing. You either have all your information in Teams or it's all available. And so we're going to be looking at redefining teams to make sure that it fits our customers as they grow and have multiple departments and thousands of users on front. Next, we know that workflows in front are part of the picture, but we also know that programmatic access to front is so critical for most of our customers. There's so many things that are custom to your workflows that can only be done by you, and we want to make sure that we're continuing to improve our platform experience. So there's three core areas that we're working on. The first is developer experience. We're going to be adding a ton of sample applications that make it easy to get up and running and show you the power of the front platform. We're going to be overhauling our documentation, making it easier to read and understand and organize, and really having a huge emphasis on making the developer experience as seamless as possible. Next up, we're going to be solidifying our APIs. So we're going to be filling missing gaps in our platform, like a snooze API and a search API, to actually allow programmatic access to more places in front. And then the final thing is we have a few cool bets that we're going to be taking on new innovations, that we're opening new services. And one of them I want to show off is our topics API. So right now you can tag a task in a third-party system like Asana or something like that. But what we believe is we can actually open this so that any task management system can be linked in a two-way sync with front. So instead of just being limited to Asana or Jira or something like that we have out of the box, you'll be able to link any system that you have, especially internal ticketing system, straight to front. So you can connect the communication that you have with the internal workflows that you have and make sure that those two are always in sync at all times. So I'm super, super excited about this. Now let's talk about customer-centric communication. Quick refresh on customer-centric communication. Here's what we see all the time with our customers and out in the market. Support has their own communication tools. Sales has their own communication tools. Success or account management has their own communication tools. Marketing has their own communication tools. Finance, same. And they all have disparate customer data too. And we believe by putting everybody on front, which is already happening anyway because it's such a great customer communication tool, we can actually break down these silos and unify all the communication around a single customer object with all the data in a single place. And here's how that looks for us. First, a richer view of all customer interactions. So making sure that when you pop open a conversation, you have all the history of what happened with that particular customer. Second is making it super easy to edit contact data straight from wherever you are. We believe that this can give you both automatically and through manual intervention, better contact data in your database. And finally, making sure that customer data is deeply integrated into your day-to-day workflows. So let's talk about what we're releasing. First of all, we've been talking about this for a while, but you may not have seen many updates. And that's because in 2020, we've been in stealth mode, actually rebuilding the entire data model around contacts and our entire data structure and way of accessing contacts. But that stealth mode is over starting this quarter. We're going to be rolling out a brand new company level contact system. We're super excited about this. This allows you to actually have one contact record across all teams and all individuals within a corporation. Now, we'll have more to share on this, but this doesn't mean that you suddenly remove the ability to have private contacts or hide certain information, but it will allow you to keep one single customer record, which is so critical at reducing all of those silos, as I talked about in the beginning of this section. The next thing we actually rolled out live a few weeks ago, but I wanted to call out, is we're going to have ways to improve the contact data. And one of the places we're starting is actually with Front Chat. So if you're a Front Chat user, you can now actually require name and email address before the customer starts responding into you. This is really cool because now instead of seeing a generic placeholder name like Purple Hippopotamus that we use just for temporary, you can actually see the real name and email address of the customer and know who's actually talking to you on your website. So this is obviously super powerful. And we're going to be augmenting that later this quarter, where you can actually pass any arbitrary contact information into Front. We're super excited about this. It's going to be very cool. And it's one of the ways that we believe that you can now enrich this global contact record. Looking further into 2021, we're also going to be allowing you to create account objects and workflows. So one of the things we know is for many customers, they have multiple people write in about the same account. So if I have Pepsi as my account, I may have 20 people I correspond with at Pepsi that all roll up to the same account. Right now, we don't have any sort of account object in Front. We're going to be allowing you to both create that account object and then take workflows against that. So for example, if you wanted to do a workflow like, hey, if an account has more than 1,000 monthly reoccurring revenue, then move it to VIP support, you'll actually be able to set that up in one single flow. And will allow you to obviously see analytics about all of these accounts as well. So you'll be able to take segments like large customers and see how your communication trends have been versus those things. So we want to bring this idea of your customer deeper into the workflows and the analytics. And one way we know we have to do that is augmenting our data model with account objects. And then finally, we know that customer data is not just in Front. So we're going to actually introduce syncing with CRM. Now, we're not going to sync all the information that's in your CRM. We want to sync the critical things that you need to respond back and do the workflows that I was just talking about. So I'm super excited about this. I think it's going to be a critical piece of the puzzle, and this is going to be coming later in 2021. Now, let's finally talk about ease of use. For those of you who aren't admins, we spent a long time talking about all the cool administrative features that we're going to be rolling out. But now let's spend a little bit on how easy it is as a teammate to use Front. First of all, we're going to be reorganizing new tag UI. So right now, it's sometimes difficult to see when was a tag last done. And we're actually going to be rolling this out across all of our views in settings slowly but surely throughout 2021. So I'm super excited about this. Will actually allow you to be much easier to manage simple resources like tags in our settings. So whether it's a personal tag or a team tag, you'll be able to see when was it last used, where is it available, and easily delete or potentially even one day archive it. Super excited about this. Next, we'll be rolling out this in Q1, but we're making updates to our merging and privacy. So what we are really excited about is actually making it more obvious to everybody when messages will be visible to other teammates when you send something. So in this case, you can see that little gray banner that says this message will be visible to teammates in sales after sending. We know the model of collaborative email that we have is very different than the world of Outlook or Gmail that our users came from. And so making it easier to understand what the ramifications of you sending this message and who will actually see the message once it's sent is one of our key initiatives. So we want to make all these alerts more obvious so everybody understands exactly how this is going to work. But we're also working later in the year on cool things where sometimes you need privacy. So it'll actually allow you to start a discussion with a quoted conversation if you want to have a specific sidebar with only a few of your coworkers about something specific here. So in this case, David wanted to start a conversation about Ash's email with Eileen and wanted to just get her take on the side. And we're going to be introducing some cool new collaboration tools like this. So it really works both for transparency and for privacy. The next thing that we're going to be doing is making sure that it's super easy to find your work. So we know it can be challenging in our folder list on our left side of our screen to actually find exactly where I need to be working right now. So we're going to be simplifying the view there. We're going to be allowing you to prioritize and move up the folders that you want and reorganize the folder list there. And I'm super excited about this. More to come in our Q2 roadmap on this. The next thing is we're going to be introducing a new application navigation. This is actually going to be coming in Q1. We know that our application navigation is a little bit scattered across our application. So we have the app switcher in the lower left. We have search at the top of our second column. Help, settings, and your account are scattered across the application. And so we're going to be rolling out one clean, consistent navigation so that when you're learning front, it's super easy to understand exactly where all the tools and all the places you can navigate to. Next, one of everybody's favorite topics is search. So I think there's two things we're going to be working on in search. The first is we have a ton of initiatives, especially in Q1, focused on just our basic relevance. So making sure when you type in an email address, you always get the right email address. If you type in a partial order number, you actually get results instead of having to type in the full order number. And so lots of small details like that are going to be coming out in Q1 and throughout the year. And we know we need to tackle our core relevance. It's one of the things we're super focusing on there. Alongside that, we're going to add more suggestions. So sometimes the result is there, but you need to filter down. Right now, you have to know our special syntax around, tags, colon, then this. We're going to make that easier to actually filter down exactly what you're looking for. And then finally, we're exploring new UIs as we move to this global navigation bar. It's going to give us more real estate to make search results even more intuitive, provide more context on where you're searching on. And I'm super excited about some of the further ranging UI things we have. But our number one focus right now is focusing on this core relevance, really making sure that when you type something, you get the best results. And that's something we're really committed to in Q1. The next thing is another hot topic is our Composer. So we're super excited that we're going to be focusing on our Composer all throughout 2021. There's a couple of things that we're really focused on. One is making sure that it's possible to actually create and reliably edit tables, as long as making it effortless to paste tables directly into Front from common other applications. This is something that every email client has trouble with, or if they do it, oftentimes it comes out garbled when you send the message. And so we're super excited that you can do that. The second thing we're working on is making sure that we maintain format when you copy and paste from any other application into Front. This is something that is super tricky as other applications pass formatting in all types of different ways into Front. But we want to make sure that we paste that and then transfer it into a way that that it's going to send looking great to any client. And the final thing is we're going to be looking at all the different little things that people are used to in Gmail or Outlook as they transition into Front, and making sure we can actually resolve that or provide a great seamless migration path into Front as well. So Composer, big focus for 2021 on ease of use. Another thing we've been talking a lot about is our new mobile app. We're going to be starting that Android beta this quarter. We cannot wait. The iOS version will be shortly out after that. We talked a lot about it, so I'm not going to dwell on it, but there's tons of little Easter eggs, including a brand new design that I'm rolling out. And I'm really excited. We just I just found out that our teams will be able to squeeze in an oft-requested feature, which is dark mode. So I'm super excited about this. It looks really cool. Obviously, the design is killer, but there's lots of little design enhancements that make triaging your inbox faster and easier to see on the fly. And as I mentioned before, this is also putting us on a new code base that's going to make it even easier to ship features faster and more seamlessly on our mobile devices as we go along. So just as a quick recap, our product investments are sort of centered on 4 key areas. The first is optimizing your customer communication and giving you the data you need to understand where your customer communication is doing great and where it needs improvement. The next is giving you the tools to scale your customer communication and get those key workflows and rules and everything else you need to do this customer communication at scale. The third one is making sure we're putting the customer in our customer-centric communication. So making sure that you have that customer object and that it's actionable across everything you want to do, along with our account object and all the other cool stuff that we're going to be rolling out in 2021. And the final thing is making sure that the individual teammate experience of using Front day to day is super reliable, seamless, and that we have core functionality like search and Composer dialed in. So that's a quick overview of where we're going in 2021, highlighting most of the stuff that we're launching in Q1. I hope it was really informative. We'll hang out and answer any questions you have in the chat, but can't wait to roll all of this out. As always, if you have any feedback, please send it in to your customer success agent, or you can send it directly to me at nate.abbott@frontapp.com. Cannot wait to talk to you more, and that's it for me.